Today I'm at the corner of Trumbull and Merrick, just down the road from Warren Ave. We're at the Woodbridge Pub. And like all great pubs, let's go inside and see what great food they have in store for us today. Today I'm here with Jim Geary, owner, proprietor of the Woodbridge Pub. Jim, pleased to meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
You've got pretty unique history, pretty unique background for being a restaurateur. You started out as a young farm boy in Salem Township out in Washtenaw County, you were telling me.
Yes, I did. Grew up on 23 acres with my family, and we had chickens and pigs and a pretty large garden.
How did you get from way out there to way on this side of town?
Well, I think might have got dropped on my head a few times, but I love it here in Detroit. It's like the country, it's like the new country to me. Where I grew up, all the fields are turning into houses, and out here all the houses are turning into fields. So it's really fitting for me. I like the fields, I like the open spaces, and there's a lot of urban farming going on. There's a big movement for that in the city right now.
Right.
So it's really attractive to me. But I like the city. It's got a lot of grit, and it's a nice slow pace, just like I like.
But you having always worked with your hands, that came in as a good resource. You found this building that was what, abandoned?
Yep, this was an abandoned party store. It was empty for approximately 25 years before I bought it. It was in rough shape. There was a hole in the roof. Where the windows are now was all cinder blocks. They had a drop ceiling in here covering up the beautiful tin ceiling. Pretty much everything in here that is nice was repaired or brought here by me.
And brought here by you, I see a lot of history in, for lack of a better word, the furniture of the establishment, from the men's room to the bar. And where did you find all this wood at?
Well, I used to restore houses, so I had a lot of resources available, and I sort of was a collector of antique things. And I knew I was building this restaurant, so I kept collecting the little things I wanted that would give it a nice touch, because I wanted this place to feel like it had been here for 110 years, like the rest of the neighborhood. So I used stuff that was 110 years old.
Makes good sense to me. Now, earlier you mentioned you buy locally.
Yes.
And I see a lot of Michigan products in here, whether it's in the kitchen or on the back bar. How did you find all of this? What motivated you to go that route?
Well, we buy everything as locally as possible, and we also try to get it in season. For us, there's a few different kinds of price tags attached to things. One price tag, of course, is the dollar amount that we pay for things, and the other price tag is how far it had to travel to get here. That adds to it a carbon footprint. So if we can get something locally, then even if it costs the same as something from California, we feel better about it because it doesn't have the carbon, price tag attached to it.
The food that's brought here, I'd like to get into that today, because that is what your business is built upon, what your vision was built upon. Let's talk about the Trumbull pie.
Okay, the Trumbull pie is like our fall version of a pot pie. It's ham and potatoes and apples with peas and cheddar cheese in a cream sauce, and then of course made into a pot pie with a nice butter crust, and then baked, topped with apple gravy, and served with a side of kale.
Oh man, you got my taste buds jumping now. You have a fall strata.
Yes.
And that I need to know more about. How is that prepared?
Okay, the autumn strata is sort of like our signature vegetarian dish for dinner. It's our signature vegetarian entree. It's a corn polenta mixed with pumpkin. So it's a pumpkin polenta patty. And then we top that with red beans that are cooked with a little onion and jicama slaw. And then it gets a little bit of citrus pesto drizzle.
Sounds like another great hearty dish for this time of year.
It's outstanding.
And moving into another unique salad that you have, and that's your white bean salad. And that's not too typical either, is it?
No, it's not typical really at all. We like to keep proteins involved with a lot of things, so especially vegetarian dishes. So we take kale and white beans and we put them together with some sun-dried tomatoes and fresh red onion, thin sliced red onion, and then we top it with a house-made celery, vinegar, ketchup dressing.
Now that's unique. That's very unique. So you've got sort of the sweet, tangy, and the undertones of the celery just popping out. And so that's got to be a pretty mystical dressing that you have there.
It is good. It's sort of stolen from an old sushi dressing recipe.
Then I understand that when you created your restaurant and your pub, that there was one thing that you really loved that you wanted to have on the menu.
Yeah, I always wanted to have this since the beginning, and I finally got my 2 cents in, is chicken marsala. Our chicken marsala is pretty traditional up until the vegetables. It's just a pounded thin chicken breast, breaded in a special seasoning mix, and then we make the cream, mushroom, and marsala wine sauce that goes over the top. Then we serve it with oven roasted Brussels sprouts and some brown rice.
So the heartiness of the chicken and the sauce is balanced out by the sweetness of the Brussels sprouts and the lightness of the rice, and you guys have pulled that all together and had this sensory overload going on.
Yes.
Well, you've answered a lot of questions already that I wanted to ask you. Now I understand why people keep coming back here. And your menu changes how often?
Every season, so every 3 months.
I'd really like to try this. So if you take me to a table and you and the chef whip this up.
Okay, we'll go start making you some food right now.
Let's start out with Motor City Ghetto Blaster. Blasting the taste buds. All right, Old Hippies, not Humble Pie the band, but Trumbull Pie. Pinconning cheese. Hit an apple, Bavarian ham, peas. It's rockin'. Now, everyone's favorite, chicken marsala. How do you not like chicken marsala? House-made, shiitakes, portobello. This is great. Look at this. Roasted Brussels sprouts. That jumps. That really jumps, picking up a little hint of thyme and oregano. Those notes really blend well, and the sweetness from the Brussels sprouts, phenomenal. Going into the strata, I gotta try the pumpkin polenta here. Pumpkin polenta, red beans, jicama. Cilantro lime dressing. Man, tart, great. Really adds body, really adds balance to the jicama, and pulls everything really tightly together. Now into the salad with their house-made celery dressing, kale, white beans. It's healthy, it's great. Stellar. Stellar. That'll taste a little more of the dressing. Well, I'd like to thank our great friends we made here at Woodbridge, Jim, Chef Tim, the staff,